Hello everyone, it's Jamarl Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I hope you guys are doing okay. I'm doing one more show. I was reading one of the articles from HuffPost. Let me check my volume, make sure my volume is okay first. Good. And by the way, the super, as you all know, Super Cash and everything else is down. If you guys would like to give, you can always give through the other link in the description box below. It's an alternate version of essentially a super chat, but not super chat. It's an alternate version of super chat, but it works through PayPal. There's nothing shady or shisty. So I was reading through an article on HuffPost, and as I was reading through the article on HuffPost, I noticed something that stood out at me. Should have stood out a little bit more, but because of us kind of cynical apathy, I like to add those two words together, of the populace, and we don't even consider it that way. We consider it a normal way of operation, but it's mind-blowing when you look at it from a particular context and ask yourself, should that be that way? And yet it was plopped there as A, obvious, but B, a little bit worrying. And it's something that we should not allow in our political discourse. Take a look at this. And we're going to talk about Mr. Tom Perez here, because to some degree, this is on Tom Perez's head. This is a document. The Democratic National Committee backtracks on the ban for fossil fuel donations. Now, what this gets across is that part of the reason they backtrack on that ban is because they believe that they wanted unions to be able to give them cash. Not to mention, unions only make up like 4% of the oil market. And yet, they're using this as enough of a justification to actually push this through. Not to mention, aside from unions, this also, oil companies and everything else, does give them a pittance. It gives them a pittance. This was enough for them to pull back on the lobbyist thing. I find that to be amazing. I find it to be absolutely amazing. And this, to some degree, falls on the head of one Tom Perez. I mean, Jesus Christ. To some degree, this is why Democrats lose. I mean, think about it. You have a party that is firmly in the camp, for the most part, of being perfectly okay with you not taking these donations. All right, this is not the call time yet, but hello, who's calling?
Hey there, Jamal. This is your good buddy, Tom Perez.
Tom Perez, you're calling, man. This show, to some degree, is somewhat about you, so I'm glad that you're calling in. Welcome to the show.
Well, you should probably have guessed that I'm quite a regular watcher of your channel, and especially when you're talking about me, I feel like I got to call in to defend myself, and you usually let me get my word in.
Well, yeah, Tom, I'd love for you to get your word in. I mean, you seem to be a little bit more honest when you call on this show, so I like to have these conversations with you. I think my audience gains from having these conversations with you. It's good that you get to defend yourself and explain the actions from the standpoint of the perspective of the DNC.
Well, no one else seems to be defending me these days. I'm just getting attacked relentlessly on Twitter and everywhere else. Even Huffington Post was the one who wrote the story, and it's, I got to come out and defend myself. And who better than with you?
Well, Tom, I mean, you can understand why people have some feelings about this. I mean, you guys put through essentially a ban on lobbyists, corporate PAC money for oil firms, oil lobbyists. And then all of a sudden you turn around on fossil fuels and you change the ban. You reverse course. Why would you reverse course like this?
Now let's get one thing straight here. I didn't reverse anything. Of course, we're the DNC. We're Democratic, Jamal. This was put to a vote at the executive board, and they voted on it, and it was democratically done. to keep taking that cash.
But Tom, it was put through at your behest. I mean, it says that in the article, that this was somewhat motivated by you.
Now, they may have been proposed by me, as you may be getting at, but you got to understand, this is more political than you could ever think. And as I've said to you before, I'm not a real leader. There are puppet strings behind me, Jamal.
Well, it seems that they're saying that it came at the behest because you guys wanted to continue to take money from unions and lobbyists. Is that true?
Well, of course, we want to be able to let unions still give to us. We can't, go to a knife fight with a spoon, against Trump, the guy that would, in the White House right now, that would rather drape himself in a Russian flag and eat borscht, than actually defend American values.
So wait,
that's what we're fighting against.
We're talking about you, and now you've jumped to Trump. I'm asking you something very... Let me ask you this. You've taken the money, and you're doing this to some degree for money, whether that money's from unions or the other places. So fair enough. You're taking the money. I get it. Does the Democratic Party believe in science? And by the way, when beforehand, Obama got rid of the lobbyist money from the DNC. Now, what's her name? Deborah Wasserman-Schultz got rid of that. When Deborah Wasserman-Schultz was asked, she said this.
Yeah.
Now, Tom, how do you explain that?
Sounds like Debbie. Yep.
How do you explain that, Tom? I mean, she's getting rid of the lobbyist money. Why did they put through a ban on lobbyist money in the first place?
Well, let me explain it to you, Jamal. You see, it's not always about money. There's always a political side to things in D.C., as you know. And you know who proposed the original ban on that lobbyist money?
Who?
It was Christine Pelosi. And you may know her as the daughter of the
Nancy Pelosi,
minority leader of the Democratic Party in the House of Congress. She is Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
I guess I'm trying to get to a point, Tom. I'm trying to make a point. If they're putting through that ban on lobbyist money because they don't want these guys to have an undue influence on the leadership and the people in the party itself. Now, if you put through a ban before on that money, you put through that ban for a reason, right?
Well, you got to know it was done, sort of in secret. We didn't make a big hype about it.
That's true.
I thought pretty much that taking it away wouldn't make a big hype out of it, too, since nobody really seemed to even know that we did it in the first place. Oh, the protesters are back at my door, damn it. Get them, Sparks.
You've been getting protesters?
You got to let me go back to my point about Christine Pelosi.
Go for it. Right. Nancy Pelosi's daughter.
It's not just about the money with it. You see, we realized that Nancy Pelosi is a complete albatross around our party, and we need to distance ourselves from her as much as possible. And taking away this ban is part of that, because Christine Pelosi wrote it up. These people in the Democratic Party, it's not just me. These are very petty people.
They're very petty people? I mean, they're your friends and colleagues, Tom. What do you mean they're very petty people?
No, that's politics. That's playing the game,
Oh, so you believe they're petty people. I mean, do they know they're petty people? Like when you're interacting with them, do you guys interact with each other in these, kind of petty ways? I mean, I'm curious on how you guys interact with each other.
You can't believe how petty and smug people in power can get. Just, the littlest ounce of just, influence can just get to people's heads. And that's just another case of this.
I don't know, Tom. I'm bothered by this. Let me slightly deviate away from this because I want to get to a larger point, dealing with the Democratic Party itself, because you're the representative of the Democratic Party here. And look, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I know my audience appreciates you coming on the show and taking these questions. And I know these questions are somewhat critical. So, forgive me, all due respect and everything else. If the Republican Party has taken the position that climate change is not real. They say it's not real. So they have no contradiction at all from the standpoint of what they propose in regards to just backwards, ridiculous legislation that is craven to the top 1%. And, no philosophical any part. The Democratic Party, however, says that you are the party that believes in science. I mean, you stump your fist on it. We believe in science. Fair enough. You believe in science. What is the science of climate change? And what does that say from the standpoint of life on this planet?
Well, you got to understand, just because we say we believe in science doesn't mean we believe in, doing enough about it to actually do anything. That's just another way we can squirm out of these things, as we do. But, it's not really us that's the problem. You got to understand that Trump is Putin's poodle, and he should be your main focus, Jamarl. That would be my only criticism of your criticism of me. That you should criticize Trump instead.
But you can understand that if I completely focus on Trump, it allows people to lose focus on you. Is that what you want? People to lose focus on the Democratic Party? I mean, that's not fair. I mean, you can't get anything done if people aren't paying attention to the Democratic Party and just focuses on the Republican Party.
Well, if it's anything bad, of course we don't want attention on it.
That's kind of sad, Tom.
Well, what this really gets down to, Jamarl, why we decided to reverse the ban, we are just completely strapped on cash. We're strapped on it. We thought, reversing the ban wouldn't be bad. That would show that people that, they could give to us that we're not as corrupted and we need their help. But they still think we're corrupt or something, and they're not giving it to us, and we're still setting just record low numbers that's really threatening my job. So we got to get those numbers up.
And so you think that this is the way to get your numbers up, by essentially opening up the floodgates of money from lobbyists, from oil companies?
Well, we don't know how else we're going to do it. We've been hammering Trump about Russia for the last 2.5 years now, nearly. We thought the money would just come flooding in.
That is kind of weird, Tom. I mean, this is supposed to be the worst person on the planet. He's supposed to be annihilation himself. It looks like you guys would be rolling in cash. What do you think is the problem? What do you think is wrong? Is the Russia thing just not getting people ginned up about voting for the Democrat?
Well, I think it's about that there's too much fake news out of there, and that's why I'm totally supportive of Facebook and Twitter and all of these platforms taking down these people like Alex Jones and TJ Kirk and Palestinians and, anyone that challenges power in any sort. We got to just weed these people out because you know what? They're going to be used by Russians against American interests. Anybody that isn't for the status quo is, in effect, a Kremlin agent.
That's pretty brazen, Tom. That sounds like you're trying to protect your job. With all due respect, it sounds like you're trying to protect your job.
No, you're damn right I'm trying to protect my job, wouldn't you?
At the expense of people's liberty to speak? Is that real? You hate America, Tom? It sounds like you hate America.
Oh, I love America. Don't
sound like that, Tom.
Don't try and pay me like I'm some kind of, like I'm not a patriot. Of course I'm a patriot. Of course I believe in the American way. And of course when we share our values and we put the hope on the ballot, that's when the Democrats will win. And when people stop focusing on the money we take, that's when we can do even better.
Well, look, Tom, I agree with you on that. If people didn't pay attention to the fact that you guys were fundamentally and completely corrupt, taking tons of money in order to do favors for the interests of the people who are giving you that tons of money, if people didn't pay attention to that, you guys would probably do much better. I agree.
Well, thank you so much for that. That really means a lot. It's statements like that that shows unity, that we can come together to defeat these atrocious Republicans like Trump and, in his kissing match with Putin.
Let me ask you this one last question, Tom. If Trump is such a Putin puppet, why was he giving weapons and support to neo-Nazis in Ukraine? That seemed to be completely against what Vladimir Putin wanted. By the same token, Obama refused to do such a thing. Why was Obama also a Putin puppet on this case?
Oh, what's that? Joe Crowley is calling me. He's trying to get a new lobbyist job. I gotta get going, Jamarl. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Vote
Tom.
blue no matter who.
Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom. Oh, Tom. He keeps popping in every so often, throwing me off. Throws me off. All right, I'm going to end this. Well, you heard Tom Perez himself. Hope on the ballot. Vote blue no matter who. Don't pay attention to the money. We can win if you don't pay attention to the money. Hey, that could be a slogan. We could win if you don't pay attention to the money. I love that. I love that. All right. I'm going to end this. I want to thank Tom Perez for calling into the show. And I'll see you guys soon. All right, guys.